Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's VinPF, and on today's episode we've got a very special water test, almost like the definitive guide to adding water to whisky. I don't often add water to whisky. Many people who watch the channel know this, and a few people have been trying to convince me to add water to whisky. I did a live stream with Roy Aquavite, I'll put a link to that up here, so you can go and check that out, where I did try adding water to whisky, and for the first time ever had a bit of an epiphany moment where I found that the whisky actually completely changed as I added water. That whisky was the Glengoyne cask strength, batch number 5 I think. But yeah, go and check that video out if you want to see my epiphany moment in water. This is a video that's been a long time coming. It's been mostly requested by my patrons, and I've had these little samples of water here for quite a while, waiting for a good opportunity to try something like this out. So we're going to do a kind of semi-scientific method today to see if not only does water change whisky, but does the specific source where the water comes from really help. And that's what these guys are trying to do here. Uisge Source, and they are trying to bottle water from the different regions in Scotland. So far they've got a Speyside, a Highland and an Islay. I'm going to be doing them in the order of Highland, Speyside and Islay. You'll see why as we go in. But I'm going to be doing a kind of straight up taste of the water, see if I can taste any difference in them. Then we've got some straight whisky, then we've got water added to that whisky, and then we've got one whisky with all three of these separately in them. So we'll see, not only does the water change the specific whiskies from the different regions, but can I taste any difference in a single whisky with these 3 different types of water in them. But before we get into that, I'm going to do a bit of a quick one while I add some water to the ones at the back here, and we'll get onto it as soon as I finish that. Now I think we actually need something to cover these while we're getting through the whiskies. What do you think? Let's get some coins on there. Coins! Right, a quick word before we get into the actual tastings itself on the whiskies that I've chosen. I did have to muddle through the Speyside a little bit because I didn't actually have any Speysides of the specifics that I wanted. What I was after was something that was higher than 40% and non-chill filtered. You know, you usually get that plus 46% anyway. So I didn't actually have any that fit that for Speyside, so you have to use a sample of Scallywag 12-year-old, which is at 53.6% today. So I've had to spread that out across the two, and I've tried to be as even as I can with the other ones as well. For the Highlands one, I've gone for the Legacy Series 1. I have done a video on that, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a link up there as well. But this one comes in at 48% and is natural coloured and non-chill filtered, so that'll be a winner. And then for the Islay, I've cheated a little bit, and I've gone for the Peat Monster Compass Box. Also done a video on that, put a link up there. The reason why it's a bit of a cheat is because it's not specifically a Islay blend, but it's something like 70% Laphroaig, so I figured it would be good enough, and actually the only thing that fits the bill in my cabinet right now. I'm suffering a bit on the old full bottles. So they're the whiskies I have chosen. First things first, let's check out the different waters and see what we've got in each one, shall we? And the first one coming up is the Uisge Source Highland. This comes from the St Coleman's Well in Ross-shire, which is a hard mineral-rich water and is typical of the waters used in Highland region. Next up we'll have the Speyside, which comes from the Cairngorms Well in Moray and is soft, low mineral water. And finally we've got the Islay one, which is Ard Distillery Spring on Islay, and it comes naturally filtered through peat and a higher natural acidity. So these guys are big on their chemistry. They've got a really nice table that shows the different chemistries, the different nitrites, the different sulfites, potassium content, the pH, that sort of thing. I'll put links in the description below if you want to go and check these guys out. They're not cheap. They're £4 each, or it's £12 for the set of 3. So, you know, if you're into trying stuff like this, then it's probably a little bit of a snip to try something, a little bit of fun. But if you're going to drink this on a regular, these are 100ml bottles, then, you know, it's going to get expensive. So we've got the waters first. Underneath coins 59, 61 and 63. All 3 are still available. And let's get into the Highlands one first. I'm not going to bother doing like tasting notes because it's water, right? So I'll just see if I can see any differences in them. Okay, interesting. No point cleansing between the two. If I do cleanse during this this whole process, I'll cleanse with the water that I'm using for that one. Okay. Does taste a little different. Let's go back to the first one. But of course, you know, I'm no expert, so I couldn't really tell you why. If I was going to put my my gun to my head, I would say the first one tastes a little more minerally, but I can't say that for sure. And again, the Isla one tastes a little bit more minerally as well. Let's pop those back over there, put them back under the coins so that we don't get any flies or debris or anything like that in there. And we'll get on to the first whiskey. Now the way I'm going to do this, I didn't want to spoil my palate, so I'm going to do Highlands first because it's a lower ABV than the Speyside one, then obviously the Isla one last. I'm going to do the neat dram in compared to the watered dram and then move on to the next one and we'll see what we get from there. So round 2 is the water comparison against neat. So we've got the Glengoyne Legacy, and that's under coin 74, and it's watered cohort under coin 81. British Bourbon Society glass. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this dram. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the video, but I picked it up when I went to actual Glengoyne. Really nice. It's got a huge kind of sherry note finish to it. This isn't going to be about tasting notes, this is just about the difference in water. So that's now stewed in there a little bit. I did see those lovely rippling effects when the water first drops in there, really nice. So we're going to have to do a bit of a comparison here. Now for my nose, that's taking some of the kind of fruitier, estery smells away from it. This one smells really nice and fruity, and the one with water, still a bit of that fruity there, but it's been dulled down a little. I put maybe 5 or 6 drops in each of these. Some may say that's too much, but if you're only going to add 1 or 2 drops, I don't really see the point. Let's try on the palate. Now that's interesting. Although the flavour hasn't changed too much for me, the texture changed a little bit. Yeah, it tasted a little bit more velvety on the tongue. For me, it seems to have brought out a bit more citrus into the background. Very interesting. That one's in a Whiskey Wings glass, by the way. Okay. So for a first little dabble, that's gone pretty well, I think. So the water, I would say, I don't want to say definitely, but I think it has made a change. So what I'm going to do now is cleanse with the Speyside water. Do a nice horsed swish. And we're going to move on to the next one. Keep these two together. And this is the Scallywag 12-year-old at 53.6%. Under coin 75 is the neat in the British Bourbon Society glass. And then over here in the Jason Whiskey Wise glass, under coin 86, is a few drops of water. I did put a little bit less in this one because I didn't have as much to go around. But let's get into this and see what we've got. I really enjoyed the standard Scallywag. I haven't actually tried this on a video, but still, let's see what we've got. Really, really nice whiskey. I think this would have been, if I'd have had a full bottle of this, this would have been probably the best test to do. Higher ABV. Well, that's really tasty. Let's try this. Okay. Yeah, so it's clearly brought down the ABV somewhat. I'm not getting a lot of those ethanol-y vapours anymore. It's allowing me to smell some more grassy elements that are in there. Oddly, on Speysides, I usually get a whole heap of apple orchards. I'm actually not getting that on either of these. Very interesting. Now the Scallywag, of course, is a blend across Speyside distilleries, so I can't really be sure exactly what's in there without checking, but I don't think that really matters. Palate again. Okay. Now, again, I'm not really finding it's changed the flavour profile that much. It has brought the ABV down. It's allowing me to kind of hack into some additional kind of heightened flavours rather than changed flavours, but If anything, it just tastes weaker. For that, I definitely prefer the original. So I'm going to pop that there. They were there, they were there. And I'm going to cleanse with the Islay water. And we'll move on to the final one, which is the Compass Box Peat Monster. The neat in a blank glass under coin 76, and the slightly watered down one under coin 90 in my Birmingham festival, the Whiskey Lounge Festival 2018 glass. So if you've seen my video on this, you'll know that this is one of my favourite. Really nice. It's just, I mean, you can really tell the Laphroaig element on there. It's like that medicinal, but also bonfire elements. Superb, very ashy. Now, here's the thing. See, I've got some expectations on this. I'm expecting this to have dulled down the 46% a touch, and brought along, hopefully, some unlocked creaminess, but probably a lot more ash. That's what usually happens with Laphroaig. Yeah, straight away, it's a lot less ashy, actually, because usually that ash gets accentuated, but this seems to have dulled it down a little. A lot less medicinally. Let's try. Ooh, okay, interesting. Do you know what? For the first time, I'm gonna have another rinse of water on this one, because I want to try the watered down one without the original effect. Might have even watered it down a little bit more now. I think that's definitely changed it. It's a lot more understated now, but it's released this more, again, a kind of grassier element, maybe even a little bit of citrus, lemony citrus on there as well. That you just not, I mean, you can pick it up on the original, but it's just kind of digging down. You have to really dig down to find it. Time to move on to the third part, which is the same whiskey, all with different waters in them, so that we can see if the water from different sources really does make a difference. So if you're adding water at home, like for instance, I use boiled water in a Brita filter and then bring that back down to room temperature. And that's the water that I add when I'm off camera. I don't usually add water on camera. So let's bring these down here. So all three of these are the Legacy, because I didn't want to have any extra influences from peat. That can be quite overpowering. I wanted to see what happened to this. And the same again, all three of these have about 5 or 6 drops in them, about 1.5 millilitres, 1.5. And these have coins 91, 94 and 95 on them, respectively. Birmingham Whiskey Club glass, a blank glass and a dram team glass. There you go. This has actually used every single one of my available glasses right now, so I'm glad I haven't broke any recently. Right, let's cleanse with the first water, the Highland water, and see what we've got in this one. Now, we have already tried this. This is in the first test we did. Exactly the same, should be. It's a tasty dram. I can still tell that that's a little bit watered down though, isn't that weird? Now let's compare with the Highland to the Speyside water. Now for me, that's not changing much, especially on the nose. Let's try on the palate. I don't think there's any difference there, to be honest. Now I'm going to do one last little bit of cleansing. I'm going to do that with the Speyside one this time. Now I'm going to try the Speyside versus the Islay water. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. So, for me, you know, I've had a lot of practice at tasting whiskey now. I think I'm getting pretty good at it, to be honest. I'm still not the best ever by a long, long, long shot, and I'm by no means an expert. But for me, on the dram itself, 1 dram, 3 different kinds of water, I'm not detecting any discernible difference. Of course, the chemical makeup of these things is a factor. There's definitely differences in them, but I'm not really picking up those differences. Now, the real selling point of these things is the individual areas, the different regions, and adding them to those whiskies as a bit of a gimmick. I don't want to use the word gimmick in a negative sense, because if you get enjoyment out of it, then it really makes no odds where you got your water from. But for the budding connoisseur, I would say this is a really nice little thing to give a go at. You know, why not? These bottles of water last forever. You know, mine have got a finite date until February next year, but I've had them since last year. So you've got a good 2 years on these bottles. You can keep them around and have a little play around with it, see how you like it. But I don't think it's going to set the world on fire. I don't think this is something that everybody should give a go at if you're just starting into whiskey, just interested in water, whatever. It isn't going to make any discernible differences to the average person, I don't think. So if that's you and you like me, then, you know, give it a go if you want to have a little bit of fun, but don't expect it to light the world on fire. If you're the connoisseur and you want to add more water, you want to get water from proper sources, then I think this is probably a good thing. You know, you should definitely give it a go. That's my kind of a semi-review of Uisge Source, but also my water test that, yes, it can change the whiskey if you have the right kind of whiskey. We're talking about non-chill filters, a very important part of it. If you've got a 40%er that's been chill filtered, I honestly don't think you're going to do much more than just water it down to below 40%. Really, adding water is all about releasing those esters, releasing those oils, getting more flavour, and toning down some of those real hard flavours that you get from high ABVs and things like that. But there you go. If you enjoyed this extra long episode, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, and of course subscribe to the channel. We all like stuff like that, and let me know in the comments below what you think about this whole setup, what I did today, what I did wrong, what I did right. If you like the sound of Uisge Source, check it out in the description below. See you on the next video. And is typically used for blah, blah, blah. It's only fair. Ooh, spillage.